think I would want to thank Jobs for her for giving me this opportunity to, I think, engage with all of you in this webinar, right? When Divya from Jobs for her team asked me to do a webinar, I was thinking what would be a good topic and how should I approach it, right? I reflected upon my past experiences of attending such webinars, and I realized that most webinars focused on what one should do. However, when the rubber hits the road, it's all about action, right? How one should go about doing it. So the how becomes equally critical. So in this webinar, with the assistance of all the participants in here, I'm trying to enable your thoughts and actions on how you will go about preparing your career restart. Hopefully, some of the mantras we learned today may come in handy for your way back to the workplace. The good news is, I'm hoping none of what I'm going to share will be a surprise. Rather, it is something we are all well aware of. However, executing these ideas and connecting the dots of our action is the real challenge. So in this webinar, one of my attempts would be to help you figure out the interconnections. And to keep the session interactive, I would encourage you to share your thoughts, ask questions in the chat window. And of course, based on relevance, I will try and share my perspective and try and enable your thoughts. Towards the end, as Gayatri mentioned, the audio will be open for Q&A. So in case I don't respond to your questions during the session, I'll try and address it at the end. But one expectation I have of all of you is be highly participative through the chat window so that we can keep it more like an engaging conversation and learn from each other while I share what I intend to do. So keeping the spirit in mind, maybe let me start by asking you a question, right? What do you think you should do to prepare yourself for a career restart or something which you are already doing? And I would encourage you to share your responses in the chat window, and it would be nice to get your perspectives to begin with before I start sharing. So I'm again repeating the question: what do you think you should do to prepare yourself for a career restart? First thing is to reassess and skill. Excellent, Suma, bang on. What else? I think you guys already know what I'm intending to share. Okay, maybe let's give another 5 seconds. Let's see if any more comments come through. Okay, reach out to your old network. Nice, Ruchi. Perfect, great. I think, and Suma again says, so build network once we are ready with reskilling. Get into mindset to act. Update the resume and have your story ready. Bang on, as I said, right? Nothing is rocket science. It seems you got all correct. And let's see what 6 inputs I have, and it seems you have covered most of them, right? So the first one, which I think is already spoken about by someone, is re-establish your network. I think it's immensely important to connect with your past networks, right? This could be a peer, a boss, or friends who could potentially help you. You may also consider, I don't know how many do that, consider strangers. However, have a common connect point could be basis the trait, the interest area, or similar life situations. So it is well known that networking is one of the best sources for you to learn about trends, figure out opportunities, and more importantly, it's a simple way of helping you get back to an environment which you would have missed during the career break. So maybe that's the first one, right? The next is, I know in some form someone did talk about, is about joining forums. By joining forums, you will get to learn about the latest trends, and you can also get connected with like-minded people and also contribute with your thinking to get noticed, right? Research suggests that those who have a presence in social and professional forums have 50% more chances of getting a job as compared to those who only use traditional channels like job sites or physical connections with few recruiters. So maybe that's something you may want to consider. And another one, common sense, which someone already spoke about, is about upgrading your skills, right? And with the pace at which changes are happening today, even active professionals, have to continue to upgrade their skills. So it becomes even more important for you to not just learn new skills to become relevant, but would be a good idea to brush up something which you already know. And maybe another interesting one, though I did not hear, but my favorite, have you ever considered for volunteer roles? Have you ever thought of this one, right? And what I mean by that is to offer your services without expecting any monetary gain. What you get in return is a wealth of exposure, brushing of your skills, and getting noticed for paid jobs. This will not only help you acquire skills, you will also have proof of your accomplishments and references to speak on your behalf. Again, some of those who have tried volunteering shared that they were able to get offers pretty quickly as they were able to showcase that experience. Before doing that, it was a struggle for them to prove to an employer that they are dedicated and are back to work routine and can learn on the go. So do consider this if you haven't so far. And someone did talk about resume, right? And I call it as marketing yourself to score the perfect job, right? While you may have the capabilities and skills to do the job, however, if it's not getting highlighted in the right forums, then your chances of getting through becomes extremely tough. So focus on marketing yourself. Last but not the least, again, maybe I couldn't see it in some of the comments, but extremely important is to get a mentor. And I found mentoring to be extremely critical. A mentor can help you shape your thoughts, right? And help build connections and advise you on critical decisions that may even get you a job. Maybe a mentor can guide you through all the other 5 inputs which I had given so far in a way that helps you shape your journey and plan the way you want to go about it. So essentially, these are the what you should be doing. As I mentioned in the beginning, the impact will be felt when you execute the hows of these what. So in the coming slides, let's spend some time on how you can go about doing some of these things. And before I move on, anyone wants to add any additional perspective of what we should be doing besides the ones which got shared by you already in the chat and the 6 which I've shown so far? So let's see if any interesting idea comes from anyone and we can take. And Vinita, I read one of your comment which is interesting is getting to mindset to act. Suma, amazing. Yeah, internships, right? Volunteering and internships play a big role, right? So that you can get back to work. And we will talk about further in the slides in terms of how you can go about it and how some people got benefited out of it. So maybe you can share some examples there. Great. So with this, let's go and delve a bit deeper on the hows, and maybe to begin with, let's look at reconnecting with your network. So what do you think are some sources where you can find your potential network connection? It would be good to get some of your responses in the chat window for us to get going. So again, I'm repeating the question. What are some sources from where you can find your potential network connections? Can you think of sources from where you can reconnect? LinkedIn, Facebook, phone calls. Yeah, you got it all, right? So yeah, that's how, right? Leverage social media. And it's interesting, Suma, that you picked a simple thing called phone calls, right? Most of the times people relate to LinkedIn, Facebook, which are the in things nowadays. But it won't harm if we just go back and scan through our phone book contacts and even past emails to see if we've had any interesting connects we lost over a period of time, but could be good. Yeah, family and friends. Exactly. At times, help is so near us, we tend to miss them, right? While you try and connect, one of my learnings have been that don't just go directly ask for a favor. To begin with, you need to build some social capital first. And what I mean by that is have some casual conversations. Find what people are doing now, and ideally, if there is something you can do for them. And I would be very surprised if you take this approach. They want to be glad to hear from you. So it's important. And I've had situations, right, while being in the industry for long, I get a lot of LinkedIn posts where people just reach out to me and the first line says, I'm looking for a job, help me find a job. Unfortunately, even though I want to help, not knowing them, what skills they have, not having any personal connects makes it very difficult for me to help them. So it's important that when you connect, focus on building relationships. And as you move along, you will notice without asking, you will start getting help. And that's how it has worked for a lot of people. Yeah. So yeah, I think Sahana and Vinita have some good inputs around attending professional events, mentors, websites, right? So build social capital. While you're building social capital, it's also important that you narrow your contacts down to a manageable number. So the moment we talk about reconnect with your network, we just spread out ourselves and go to every nook and corner and start connecting people blindly. I don't know whether it has happened with you or not, but it has happened with me when at a given situation, someone told me go and network. I just went about sending in LinkedIn connections to hundreds of people altogether, knowingly very well, I may not even reach out to them ever again, right? So it's important that you can't keep in touch with everyone you've ever met. So figure out whom you really want to get back in touch with and why, and only connect with those people to get started. And it could be a moving target, but that's important. While you're establishing connect, another important element which I've learned through my own experiences is keep track of how each person in your network prefers to communicate. To help make your re-entry as frictionless as possible, right, you need to bear in mind that not everyone is partial to the same technology. Some people may never respond to emails, but you send them a WhatsApp message and boom, they are right there, right? There are others who like to talk on the phone or Skype. So once you have an idea of what someone's preference is, make a note of it and try using that approach. Remember, it's your need, not theirs to begin with. So you need to adapt to their ways of communicating than yours. And being on the same wavelength, so to speak, just makes staying in touch that more easier. And the golden rule, and I'm sure all of you will agree, whenever possible, try and see people in person. While social media establishes invaluable connections, but nothing can quite compare spending a little time actually talking face to face, maybe over a coffee, without any intention of asking for a favor. It's just a casual connect which you can establish, and you will see the power of reconnecting face to face makes a big difference. Classic example is most of you would have experienced when you meet your school alumni, right? The moment you meet them, you get to know about them so much, you start a reignite that relationship. So think of it like that and see how you can leverage your professional network. So that's a brief one on reconnect with your network. I hope you got some tips and some hows in terms of how you can go about doing that. The next one is about joining forums. And here I have classified forums into two broad buckets, and both are equally important to learn about latest trends and building connections, right? Online forums typically constitute social media forums like LinkedIn, Facebook, so on and so forth, and professional forums like Tech Geeks. And I've also put jobs for her because they have a lot of professional stuff going there targeted to specific job areas. I don't know how many of you are in this group from a technology background, but if you have ever experienced Tech Geek, likewise, if you go to Google, there are a lot of forums which are available which focuses on specific areas, and including there are domain-specific websites like Tech Geeks. There are HR websites like Harvard Business Reviews, which offer educational content, research materials, white papers, whatnot, right? And these are great ways for you to go ahead and build context, right? And as I said, offline forums are also equally important because it gives you the face-to-face connection in the form of career fairs and seminars. I'm sure some of you would have already attended jobs for her road shows, and some can attend in the coming weeks as they are happening. And those give you, good opportunities to learn, right? And there are again professional domain forums also which keeps happening. Tech Geek, they launched a Women in Technology Tech Geek contest. A lot of women participated in those. NHRD for HR is a forum which is well known in the industry, and all these keeps happening across the country. So do look out for these forums and join them. And if you go to Google and LinkedIn, or even Jobs for Her portal, you will find a list of such forums which you can leverage and get your journey. The other thing, right, which is most important, while I've rattled out all these forums, however, it is very important that you pick and choose forums which are relevant to you, right? Because I've seen the habit that, okay, here is a forum, let me go and join. At times it gets overwhelming over a period of time and you're not able to contribute effectively. So if I were to give you some tips on choosing forums, this is my simple construct, right? Shortlist few interest areas of yours like HR or tech, or maybe delve a bit deeper within tech, maybe a data science or an artificial intelligence, so on and so forth, right? And then search for forums which contributes in these areas and join them. Keep in mind that there are both global and local forums which are available, and you need to choose basis relevance which one makes sense to you, right? And most importantly, after joining these forums, I would recommend you not to be just a passive participant, which is what I've seen most of the times happening, and I want this group to be different. Do contribute by asking questions, sharing point of views, and that will help you get noticed and also gives you opportunities to share and listen to perspectives. It's again a way of building uh, knowledge. Do establish connects with others in the forum and use it as a networking opportunity. So Dipanjana has a question. Any suggestions, forums for social media and content? My suggestion is, you know, Google. I think there were a couple of forums which I need to search through. My suggestion is to do Google, and maybe the good start point could be LinkedIn, and from there on you will find. The good news is most of these forums have a rating. So look for ratings on the quality of forums, and then pick and choose the right ones. That would be my short answer, right? And the best thing is all your efforts in participating in these forums should help you establish a strong network, build capability, and pave way to newer opportunities. And people in the webinar, I would encourage you to help each other. Like Dipanjana's question is very valid about forums on social media and content. So if anyone knows of anything or have any suggestions, do share in the chat window. Let's help each other so that I also learn from that, if that helps, right? So thanks Dipanjana for posing those questions. Okay, so that's about joining forums. Then if I move on, the next is about upgrade your skills. And I was really happy when we started the first section where I asked people, how would you like to go about preparing yourself? And I got one interesting response that, well, you upgrade your skills, but there are some steps before that, right? And that's what I wanted to call out here, right? Before you start attending reskilling programs or any other intervention, it's important for you to earmark jobs which you are interested in and identify the key skills and capabilities to do that job. And again, internet is full of those inputs. You can go to any job site, maybe LinkedIn, or even Jobs for Her as a listing of jobs. Look at the role and the job description which you most associate with. And then within that, read the job description to understand the skills and the capabilities which are required. Right? That should be your start point. Then having to scramble and pick any skill and getting yourself trained, which may not help you in the longer run, or it may have a longer learning curve as compared to what it could entail you for. Then you should review yourself against the skill and capabilities mentioned in the job description to identify what strengths you already carry for the job and the gaps it may entail, right? And there are free tools available online which can help you assess you on your job suitability, behavior, specific technology area, or any area of work which you want to pursue. And for that matter, Jobs for Her portal also has such tools available for you to figure out your current state, right? And maybe Gayatri, if you can help me pass on some of those links in the chat window, specifically the ones which you have from the Jobs for Her portal, and couple of other links which I had shared, so that people can go through at their leisure time. The only caution is all assessments and self-awareness tools should be used as a guidance input, but should not be followed blindly. So my recommendation is to maintain a balance, so that you know where you are with respect to your strengths and gaps today. Richa Handa asked a question: do we have to go through tests or something to be assessed? Yes, not now, but I've requested Gayatri to share the link, which I think will be sharing with us pretty soon. So these are some tools which I'm giving to you for you to be able to assess yourself some on your strengths and gaps, so that you can plan your next steps accordingly. Right? And as I said, once you have identified your gaps, then you should go about prioritizing and plan for upgrading those skills. Also, it would be worthwhile to refresh something you already know because you've been out of touch, right? And again, leverage the training offerings available with Jobs for Her portal. And besides that, right, internet is full of education materials. Providers like Coursera, Udemy, and others offer quality global education on varied topics for you to leverage from the comfort of your home, right? The good news is most of this stuff is available for free. Again, I would request Gayatri to share the links with you all. And again, Sahana has a question there. After upskilling, how long do you think we will be assessed? It takes a lot of time to get into the industry. Great. Maybe you got me into a nice segue into the next topic which I wanted to talk about. One is for you to wait, another is for you to do something which we will quickly get into. But yeah, to look at upgrading your skills, I think to summarize, research, identify areas which you like to pursue. In that, identify what the job demands are, assess yourself against that to know what your strengths and gaps are, and then go ahead and pursue education or something else, which could be experiences, which will help you mitigate that gap, and then you become ready. And it's a journey. Learning is always a journey, so don't expect to be perfect. Imperfections at times helps you progress faster than trying to be perfect. Then you will pull yourself back, right? So a planned and focused approach to skill upgrading will help you move faster than having to scramble and pick anything and everything which comes your way, right? And maybe to pick Sahana's question of how long does it take, do we think says it takes a time to get into the industry? And here is where I found most people not leveraging something called as a volunteer role. It's all about learning on the job, right? And how do you think, if you were to volunteer, and this to me has been one of the best ways of getting back to work, is when I actually do, is when maximum learning happens. So how do you think you can get started? Can some of you share your thoughts, or if you've already tried something or planning to do? So the question is, how do you think you can get started exploring volunteer roles? Okay, so maybe let me provoke some thoughts. I've shared some simpler ones. Yes, that's a question. How to approach volunteer jobs? Exactly, Shilpa. Okay, prove ourselves by doing something we have. Yes, but how? So if you were to get onto a volunteer job today, how can you go about doing it? Okay, you should be very active online search. Yep. So I have some simple ideas. I'm sure some of you would have tried, right? Look for volunteer roles within the forums, approach the institutes directly, Excellent. Yeah, some ideas are now flowing in, right? For me, a simple step is, can you consider offering your services in the neighborhood? Maybe pick up any development work in your area, teach students, or maybe as simple as, if you're a technology person, maybe create a website for your community, right? And writing blogs about maybe your culture, community, etc. Yes, Vinita, all these things will help you get out of your inhibitions. These are start points, and you find some opportunities available around you. You just need to pick them up, right? The other area which I found valuable was startups, right? We are a country with booming startups. There are a lot of interesting opportunities available. However, they may not have the potential to pay at this moment. However, the experience you gain on a startup environment is unmatched, right? And you never know, you may very soon start getting paid for your services, right? And Jobs for Her is a classic example of that for me, right? A startup maybe a couple of years back started, right? I've known people, right? I don't know whether Divya is in the call now, right? From Jobs for Her. She's a classic example for me, right? I've known her as someone who got started with Jobs for Her as a volunteer. She took a career break of 7-8 years and she wanted to join back. So she joined Jobs for Her as a volunteer. Then they called her later in to join them on their roles. So she manages some part of their journey today, right? And today they run the ambassador program, which allows women to offer volunteer services to get back to work routine and get them ready for paid jobs, right? And your way, someone already mentioned, you can always do Google search. If you do Google search for startup volunteering, you will be amazed to see, besides what Jobs for Her is offering you, you have many other websites which are dedicated for volunteer services. And you never know, you may pick up something which may prove to be a boon in terms of you getting into, a job which you were passionate for. So I'm always a believer, money will follow those who have exhibited their ability to contribute. So I would look at the other way around, right? The next one, I think someone just bought about Richa, get connected with NGOs through social media. Yes, I think you're bang on. That was my next one. You'll be amazed to know that all the corporates have to shed out maybe a 0.5 to 1% of their revenue for CSR activity. It's a government mandate. What it essentially also means that a lot of NGOs and CSR work is happening actively. And those are the places where they look for a lot of voluntary contributions. So pick and choose your NGOs carefully so that you don't get into trouble, because there are a lot of NGOs going on which turned out to be fraudulent. But that's an amazing place for you to get started, right? So that's another place where you can, right? Shilpa has a question. Can we mention volunteer work in resume? Yes, definitely. Rather, it is an advantage. I've always recommended people to go ahead and mention volunteer work, and if there are meaningful connections you can draw out with your career, so that you can impress the recruiter saying, hey, this person has demonstrated potential by contributing in places and uplifting the society. So yes, it's a big win, and if you aren't doing it, I think you should go about doing that. Yeah. And the last one I know I already spoke about is Jobs for Her. you know I had recently, it's as recent as 3 to 4 weeks back, I have a friend who reached out to me saying, hey, my wife is wanting to join back. Of course, she has restrictions of work from home, not being able to travel, so on and so forth. I got her connected to Jobs for Her, and it so amazingly happened while she's still trying for a job which pays her, but she was called in to be an ambassador for Jobs for Her, and I believe she has joined them, and hopefully in the coming days she should be able to realize her potential and get going and start earning some money as well, right? So these are some inputs which I wanted to share. Of course, Manishri, your question will try and answer a bit later, but if you were there when I was talking about upgradation of your skill and sources from where you can pick those, I think that will be wonderful. There are a few links which got shared by Gayatri, leverage, and we'll talk about it a bit later. Yeah, the next one, moving from volunteering roles, is about marketing yourself. So, how many of you believe this is one of the most critical elements to be successful in whatever you do, right? So, what I've seen, at least in the corporate context, right, the first element is for you to spot the right opportunity and get your prospective employer to notice you. How do you think you can do this, right? Some of my ideas were, right, get your resume some creative flavor. Look at key pointers that employers look for and make them more visible. So I've seen some folks, right, publishing their profile as a story, a YouTube video, etc. Be different, right? Make your LinkedIn profile also highly visible and get you a few endorsements on skills and experience. It's important. Those who get endorsements I've seen have better ways of getting prospective employers to notice you, right? Recruiters go through their own screening and they look for skills and experiences. And then if you can have the right word, even focus on the right terminology, the right words, which gets picked up in your resumes, because today's the world of technology, and people use artificial intelligence to scan CVs, right? No one will read manually. So if you have put the right words in your CV, it will get picked up. And of course, to be more visible, I've recommended people, and which I also do, is to write articles, even re-forward articles. If you're not in a position to write on your own, it's okay to re-forward someone else's as something which you liked, so that you are always seen in the social media platform. Yeah, Shilpa, everything is difficult, but yeah, I believe some of these method to madness which we are talking about, once you start applying, I'm sure it will help you navigate, right? Then the other thing which I keep talking to people, not just for the women returnees, but for everyone, is get the spotlight on you. Figure out ways to differentiate yourself, what specific value you bring onto the table. I'll go to the extent of targeting prospective employers and customize my spotlight to suit their needs. For example, right, if I'm in this forum, I will differentiate myself by saying I'm a life coach with proven expertise to transform life of women wanting to rejoin work after a career break. So the moment I quote women, career break, transform life, proven expertise, coach, this differentiates me and brings in a lot of focus to a specific pointer of how I can contribute to your success, not my success, right? And that's the way we need to get spotlight, right? And to get noticed, you need to be different and be inspiring. I think that's the word to keep in mind, right? And of course, a common sense in today's world is be active in multiple platforms such as LinkedIn, job portals, Twitter, and many more. Gone are the days where you just go to a Naukri, update your CV, expect that you will land on a job, right? You need to be highly visible, and through these forums, you never know where you are getting noticed. And the good news is, Jobs for Her has been doing workshops on resume writing, creative writing, so on and so forth. Do leverage those, right? Because those would help you, those would actually help you getting noticed. I don't know, Richa, when you say which forums, I'm actually talking about forums like LinkedIn, job portals, Twitter, Jobs for Her, and other such women forums, which will help you navigate through this journey. And finally, the most important one is about getting a mentor, right? And many mentors are, right, professionals with tremendous levels of experience, industry knowledge, and insight. They've lived through these, right? And the relevance of a mentor is, he or she will be able to spot things that you might find harder to assess. For example, how to upsell your career break, right? Some people feel career break is a dent, but there are ways you can upsell a career break by saying what you did differently and hence why you are suited, right? Where have you undersold yourself, right? Have you demonstrated your strengths in your resume? And the list goes on, right? Mentor can actually work with you on these areas and help you be successful. But bear in mind, and it's been my personal experience, mentors are also busy people, right? So don't ask your mentor to answer vague questions, right? For example, I want to get back to work, what I can do. Unfortunately, a mentor will not be able to help you because he don't know your context. So you should always ask specific questions so that it leads to specific actions. So if you are looking for a mentor, go to a mentor with a specific topic in mind and how you want his help to address it. And let's look at how you can find a mentor and what could be the potential sources. I've already put up one. You can choose your previous connection. What other sources you can leverage to get a mentor? Some responses in the chat, please. While you are sharing, Madhu has asked a question: is there an ideal format size for CV? Uh, I think you need to make it ideal to personalize it. My suggestion is, of course, there are tons of help available online, and I believe Jobs for Her also has a resume writing, creative support. So maybe you want to look at leveraging those. Do we have to pick words from a JD? I would suggest yes. If you talk the language of your prospective employer, the chances of getting through is much higher. So won't be a bad idea. But yes, use prudence so that it doesn't seem fake, right? That's also important. We can do mentors from websites, as Sana says, right? Old colleagues, great, I think. But at times the targets kept moving. Yeah, Sana, that happens, and we'll talk about it, right? So while responses are pouring in, yes, I've seen the best source could be the previous connections, right? As you network, you'll be able to find people there. The next one could be volunteer mentor network, right? Like that of Jobs for Her mentoring program. Like a lot of mentors like me sign up for voluntary contributions. So that could be a source. But if you Google, you'll be amazed to know there are volunteer mentorship portals available where you can go ahead and pick and choose mentors basis the area which you are focusing on. And my recommendation is mentor is not just one individual, right? I've come to learn over a period of time that our needs at different point of times may keep changing. So we need to pick and choose mentors whom we think can add value to my story, right? Another is social network, right? LinkedIn is a great source. I've been reached out by multiple people over LinkedIn for mentorship, and so have I, right? But as I said earlier, build connections first, then explore whether they are available to mentor you. That's another source. And maybe lastly, have you ever considered peer mentoring? I found immense value on that, right? People in similar situations are the best guides to others by sharing what they are doing, right? I think someone has unmuted their line. If you can go on mute, please. Thank you. Right, and as I said, right, people in similar situations, right, are best guides to one another, right? And Jobs for Her portal actually can enable that, right? The road shows which they are doing and are happening across the country is a great source of networking and to find like-minded people to exchange ideas and challenges. And of course, thereafter, social connections take over like WhatsApp groups, Facebooks, so that you can keep in touch with each other and learn from each other. I think that's the best form of mentorship, I've always realized, because peers, they think alike because of situations, but at times may come up with contrasting ideas to, address the same situation. But remember one thing, right? Mentorship is not just about you. It's all about how both the mentor and the mentee sees value coming together. So hence, it's a game of partnership to make it work or fail. Yeah, Vinita, you're right, right? And the Jobs for Her approach on the second career, they do offer mentors. Excellent. So those were the 6 mantras, and I focused on how one should go about it, right? So to answer, what do you think you should do? To summarize, the 6 mantras were: re-establish your network, join forums to learn about new trends and build connections, upgrade your skills to stay relevant, and my favorite, volunteer to showcase your ability and skills, market yourself like a salesman, and get help of a mentor to take you through this journey, right? And I think that's about it. Isn't it simple? It's about how do we go about applying all these and build interconnections. I hope you found some of these as useful tips to consider and try and implement some of them. By the way, another good news I would like to share is, while you are preparing yourself to restart your career, likewise, there are many corporates, right, who are focusing on getting women back to workplace. So there are enough opportunities, and you need to figure out how you want to go about it. So it's not only about you pushing, but there are a lot of pull which is happening in the corporate world, right? In that context, maybe I would like to introduce you to Sapient's Spring, which is our flagship women returnee program. Through this program, we are trying to enable women professionals, right, who have taken the steps to return to the workplace. A brief about Spring is, it actually aims at improving diversity balance at Sapient by offering a springboard to women to restart their career in technology, exactly where they left, and not as a fresher or an intern. So what we have done is, to propel the program, we have actually partnered with Jobs for Her for the recruitment of women on a career break. So you should definitely connect with your Jobs for Her contact to understand what open roles are available and how you can leverage. And of course, as part of this program within the organization, each woman returnee will be assigned a workplace sponsor for a period of 6 months to help them integrate and reskill in the domain of their choice. And we will also be creating opportunities for Sapient women alumni to rehire them as bloggers, trainers, interviewers, while they manage their personal priorities. So with such interventions happening across, maybe while Sapient is doing, I'm aware of many other organizations are doing. So I see exciting times ahead. So yeah, with this, I actually come to the end of my presentation. Maybe Gayatri may want to open the lines for Q&A while I quickly scan through some comments which have come by and see if I can address those. I hope people found value in whatever you've heard so far.
Thank you so much, Sriram. It was quite informative, and I'm sure that they would have gained the best of their knowledge while attending this webinar, and they know what is the right step to take to restart now.
Yep, sure. So I'm just scanning through some questions. So
Yes,
Sahana had asked the questions: as I've upgraded myself and I've gone through internship, which has taken a year now, how do I sell? Of course, marketing yourself, which I spoke about. Uh, Maybe I have a relook at your resume, see if you, while you're upgrading yourself, have you got the right, what do you call, skills, and do more targeted selling of your profile, connect with networks, so on and so forth, right? So that's the way to go. Soumya asked a question: if we are looking out for a change in domain we have worked in the past, how do we go about it? uh, you know Maybe you want to use the tips which I shared in upgrading your skills. To me, change of domain is like that. Figure out areas of interest, see what is the requirement, check what skills you already possess and what you need to change, upgrade yourself, volunteer for such roles so that you can show proof of concept that, hey, I've done this and here is my experience if you're not getting a direct job, and get going from there on. Richa, if you're asking for Sapient, question Richa and Ruchi, yes, it's only for technology because that's the nature of work which Sapient does. SAP, SAP, HCM, to me, very much there, but things are progressing much faster. So my recommendation, Sulachna, I'm not a SAP expert. My suggestion is to connect with someone who has been working in SAP to check, and that's where building your network comes into play. How do we approach for Spring? Jobs for Her is our partner. You can approach them. You can always come to Sapiens Facebook and Sapiens website. There are sections where you can apply for a job. That should be your way of moving in. Are content-based roles available? My suggestion is reach out to your Jobs for Her partner. There are roles which have been shared with them. Unfortunately, I don't have it handy at this moment, but they should be able to help, and even our website should be able to guide. And you'll have contact points in our website. You can always reach out to people in the recruitment team. They would be able to help. Okay, when I started upgrading my skills, should I mention it in my upcoming interviews? Definitely yes. I've seen people not sharing even things which they are working in progress. That works positively. That tells a recruiter and or an interviewer that you are serious and are investing on yourself to learn new skills. Remember, once you're inside the organization, people grow you basis your potential to grow yourself. When you're getting hired, they look at what existing skills you're bringing in. But there is something in between. While you bring in a skill and also let your hiring person know that I'm building up on these skills, it will work positively, definitely not negatively, right? So that is something you should do so that you are successful and you're seen like that. Okay, working with small organizations previously does pull you back. When do you want to go? Again, I would recommend you use my tips on the 6 focus areas, and maybe get help of a mentor to organize yourself to say, hey, I'm in a particular environment and I want to go to a new environment. What are the shifts I need to make? So make it a bit more programmatic and logical so that you can make that jump, Dipanjana, right? And some of the tips which I've shared are extremely relevant. I've had many team members who had joined me from smaller organizations, but they had to shape up doing things differently, right? So some of the tips which I shared should definitely help if you are able to follow those. Okay, which companies are for attorney programs or accounting? I would recommend you to connect with your Jobs for Her contact. They might be able to guide you better. Unfortunately, I don't have that information. How to approach for Sapient Spring program? I did share. Reach out to Jobs for Her, our portal, Facebook page. You will have multiple sources to reach out to us. And of course, as I said, networking, right? LinkedIn. Figure out people who are doing similar jobs or interested jobs of what you're interested in Sapient. Send them a request, build the social capital, and get going from there on. So some of the tips which I've shared should ideally come in handy for you. I think thank you so much for taking time out and attending this webinar. I hope you found the session useful and going back with some insights which you shall try and put into action. And if you wish to be in touch uh, or seek inputs, I can be connected via LinkedIn. I'm also volunteered myself to be a mentor for Jobs for Her, and I'll be participating in the R3 Roadshow on Saturday this week at Gurgaon. So you can find more details in the Jobs for Her website about the roadshow, and of course, Gayatri will talk about it in a minute. So thanks, Gayatri, for setting this up. And here is a parting slide from me. You all enjoy and have a great time, right? And this is what I keep telling people whom I coach. Define success on your own terms, achieve it by your own rules, and build a life you are proud to live. Thank you so much, and over to you, Gayatri.
Thank you so much, Sriram. Um, Thank you once again for the valuable time, and your webinar was really wonderful. and your mantras are going to make wonders for these women. Uh, well, as Sriram said, we have a roadshow that's going to happen in Hyderabad and Gurgaon this weekend. And the following week, we have it in Mumbai. And as he said, he's going to be a part of the roadshow as well. And we have a couple of other mentors joining us, mentor women who need help to restart their career, and you can be there to reassess, reskill, and restart your second career journey. We have workshops that can help you identify your strength. So please be there. If you haven't registered for it yet, please log on to our Jobs for Her portal and go to the event page where you will find a tab or the event to register yourself for the specific city that you are located or you're willing to attend. All right. Also visit the reskilling page, as Shriram has given a lot of highlight about it. We have courses that can help you to restart your career, and we also have assessments and services like resume writing and consulting, career counseling. So you can have a look at that and register yourself for that as well. All right. Leave your feedbacks on the Facebook event page about the webinar, on the webinar event page. So we would have better or you can even give us some inputs as to what kind of webinars are you looking out for in future, and we can have one conducted for you as well. All right. Richard says, do you have to register separately? Well, if you have already registered for it and paid for it, you don't have to register again. But you haven't and you want to explore further, you have to go to the event page and register yourself separately for it. Yes. All right. Thank you so much. To get more updates on Facebook, sorry, on our Jobs for Her portal, you can visit our Facebook page and our Twitter page, and you can get more updates on our portal as well. Thank you everyone for attending this webinar, and thank you Sriram once again.
Thank you and have a good day, everyone. Take care. Bye.